Welcome back. Over the last 7 months, we've been learning how to live online, with families consuming more media now that they're stuck at home. But it's also important to remember to take a break from technology, especially when it comes to our mental health.
So next weekend, CyberSafe Ireland will launch their first ever cyber break, encouraging families across the country to switch off their devices for 24 hours and have some fun.
So how can we take a well-deserved break from technology? Well, Joanna, psychotherapist and author of the 15-minute parenting books, joins us on the line now with advice. Good morning to you, Joanna. Thanks for joining us today.
Hi, Joanna.
Oh, good morning. How are you?
I suppose, first of all, we should probably admit, certainly we were chatting here earlier on, Anna and I were both saying we've probably spent more time than we should have online in the last 7 months, and that incorporating our working life into our homes. And children, of course, are witnessing this, and they're also being taught via Zoom, or certainly they had been over the previous few months as well. That can't be healthy for us, can it?
No, and I think, we have to give ourselves somewhat of a break. There were certainly pro-social benefits over lockdown. It enabled families to stay connected. It enabled children to maintain relationships with their peers, but also with grandparents who might have been cocooning. And, we were all doing the very best that we can. And I think, when we think about taking these, cyber break days, what's really nice about a campaign that's, being run about promoting this is that it doesn't place blame on parents, because I think that's something we have to be really cautious about. We've been doing the very best that we can with the situation we find ourselves in. And when there's an approach that's more collaborative, like it involves somebody like a corporate, like Permanent TSB or CyberSafe Ireland in the charity sector, I think it's just easier to take a solution-focused, creative, collaborative approach to, okay, let's all acknowledge we've done this, and now let's look forward with how do we move forward and make cyber technology a part of our lives, but not the most and the biggest part of our lives. I think it's a really useful campaign at this time.
And it's a very important point that you make, to go easy on ourselves. We are in extraordinary times, especially during lockdown, when you had two parents quite often trying to do the day job from home. This is a very realistic window, though, isn't it? The break starts on Friday, the 16th of October from 5 p.m. and runs until 5 p.m. on Saturday.
Yeah, I think it's absolutely realistic. And I know, although some people might be listening going, 24 whole hours, are you serious? But actually, I think it's about approaching it in a way of, what is this as an opportunity? If we think of this as we're denying ourselves, or if we present it to our children as, okay, look, this is a big deal, you won't be allowed your screens, then I think we could find it quite difficult. Whereas if we positively reframe it and say, we have 24 hours where it's just going to be us, we are going to have so much fun, and everybody's going to pick their favorite game to play and let everybody get involved. And I think that's what's going to really work with this. I know CyberSafe Ireland have some great games on their website and everything for people to consider doing. But I'm always a fan when it comes to parent-child play, as you know, of keeping it quite simple and getting back to basics. So I would do something like take a balloon, for example, just a balloon, and do a sequence of plays. So as a family, toss the balloon between you using just the palm of your hand. Then say just your pointer, just your thumb, just your fist. Keep the balloon up, then pass the balloon, sitting it on a blanket, tilt it, call out everybody's name, and you must work together to tilt the balloon down to everybody. And then stand in a line behind each other and play a balloon relay game, like over under. The first person passes the balloon over their head, the second person under their legs, and so on to get the balloon to the end. Everybody turns around and sends it back up. You'll easily get a block of play with just a balloon, and everybody will be having so much fun. So I would say keep it simple, get back to basics, see what props and stuff you already have in your house, and just remember what you used to love playing yourself as a child. Children love to hear from their parents, what your favorite game was, and say, oh, we used to play this game. Let me show you. Let's do it together. I think there's lots of opportunity to get creative, but most of, have fun with this.
Joanna, as part of the Cyber Break campaign by CyberSafe Ireland, they also have a family quiz online. I thought it was quite interesting to work out how cyber safe your family is. And you rightly mentioned earlier on, we need to give ourselves a break. And also there are so many positives to online learning and to being online for our children. But if we were to take on this 24-hour challenge and then going forward, what we take from that and how we learn from that, how can we manage our time at home so we're not always connected?
Yeah, and I think, look, I am saying, very clearly give ourselves a break, because there will be that moment when you are working at home and maybe you don't have childcare and you do need to do that Zoom meeting or whatever you have to do. But there are creative ways to offset the impact that if your child is having cyber time or watching a movie or whatever it is, make it a scavenger hunt for the movie. Give them a list of household items they have to find in the scenes of the movie, tick off the list. And when they're done, you come in and say, oh, what did you find? What didn't you find? Where was it? Play a director game and say, if you were the director of this movie, what would you change? What would you cut out? What would you put in? You're making it more engaging and interactive. So even after the cyber break day going forward, it's not realistic to say we won't use screens and we won't use technology, but at least come at it in a creative way that makes it more engaging, and actually that you can insert some connection into that time. Otherwise, I think if we could all aim, and I just keep it realistic, to have a block of time each day that is cyber free and is about parent-child play every single day, I think that would be transformative in our lives. Because look, virtual interactions are a fine short-term solution, and particularly in what we've been going through when peer relations and family connections haven't been possible, but they cannot replicate those all-important in-person relational connections that allow children to develop that capacity for empathy, critical thinking, solution-focused thinking, and those communication skills that allow them to know that what is being said is actually being said with a whole body, not just a text message or a message on screen. So we have to make sure that we are maintaining that connection with the real world while we are using cyber technology in our lives.
And Joanna, we know schools around the country have embraced technology, and it can be hugely beneficial in terms of fun learning for our children. But schools will be embracing this campaign as well, is that right?
Absolutely. Lots of schools have signed up, and there's still time to do that and get involved. CyberSafe Ireland actually do a lot of school talks as part of their remit. And I've been at a few of those, and I think they're fantastic. And I think it's something that as parents, parenting in a digital age, we, should embrace all of the help and input we can get. But again, it comes back to that collaborative approach, that this isn't a campaign saying, hey, you parents, you've been giving your kids too much screen time, you must do better. This is a campaign saying we're involving everybody across our community in a collaborative, creative, solution-focused approach. And we're going to do this by having fun together, not seeing it as deprivation, but seeing it as an opportunity. So I think it's brilliant that schools are getting involved. And if your school isn't involved yet, maybe just ask them, would they be open to doing it? Because again, there are lots of suggestions and tips and fun things that schools can do around this on October 16th.
Joanna, CyberSafe Ireland gave us some statistics. This is from a report they conducted last year. Anna has 3 sons and I have 2. And really what stood out for me was the fact that there was such a gender divide over the difference between boys and girls, whether they own a smart device. I'm talking, I suppose, between 8 and 12 years of age, whether they have access to it, the apps that they're using. There seems to be very different habits for girls and boys. Why is that?
I thought that was really interesting as well. And, in lots of ways, it is and it isn't a surprise, Laura, because we actually are aware that there is a gendered lens when it comes to children's play in general. There's been tons of research that shows us that even from the young age of toddlerhood, that parents are much more likely to caution little girls about climbing a climbing frame in a park while encouraging their same age boys to do exactly that. So it's something we have to become more mindful of, that there is that gendered lens to play. We tend to stereotype and see that boys are into gaming. Sure, that's what boys do. That's how they play. And we tend to expect that our girls are more creative and into, projective or story-based play, or out there doing things with little groups of their friends. So we do approach it differently. I think that's a societal difference. I don't think there's any other reason for that gender difference, but it is pervasive across children's play. And I think as parents, when I read that as well, I was thinking, oh my goodness, that's really pronounced and really profound to see it like that. But then it made me think, that's actually a phenomenon that I see all of the time. So as parents, I think we have to really be mindful about the way that we view our children's play, the way we kind of encourage and structure our children's play, and the way that we make play possible.
Of course. A huge list of games and things to do with that time. The floor is lava is one of the suggestions. You'd be glad to hear my 3-year-old plays that every moment of every day, Joanna.
Joanna, thanks so much for joining us today.
Mine loves that.
Thanks so much.
Joanna.
And of course, if your family would like to participate in next week's Cyber Break, head over to cybersafeireland.org for more details.
No, still to come. The dancing queen that is Shirley Ballas takes us behind the sequence on Strictly. Don't go anywhere.